All right, Kaba, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just tell me, what have you been working on your game this off season, and just tell me about now that you're excited that the season's about to start.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. Season's about to start, season opener tomorrow. I've just been working on, expanding my game a little more, hitting some more high post shots, mid range. Looking for Brittany Smith on a lot of high low passes, working on my assists. So yeah.
Masseny, Steve Wilson, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine. Can you believe your senior season is here? Does it seem like it went fast or very slow?
No, it seems like it went fast. I feel like I was just a freshman yesterday and it's already my senior season. I just can't believe it, but I'm very grateful to be here.
What did you learn from KK, right?
Some things I learned from KK is her leadership qualities on the court. So that's something I'm really looking to do this year because she's gone, of course. So me and Diamond have to take on that role to, step up and be leaders on the court and off the court as well.
How you doing, Masseny? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. So the pandemic, considering the pandemic really ramped up just after your season ended, what are your thoughts going into this season with COVID now being a part of the equation?
It's tragic. You're really not going to know what to expect, but we're grateful that we get to play our first game tomorrow and that we'll get to have a season. So, we're just taking it slow every day. We'll see how it goes, but we're just excited to play tomorrow.
Kind of going off that note a little bit, obviously Thanksgiving is this week. I know it's been a difficult year for a lot of people. You probably didn't even know if you were going to be able to have a season. So being Thanksgiving's on Thursday, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful to have the opportunity to be here. There's a lot of schools who aren't able to play, of course, and we're one of those schools that are able and fortunate enough to play. So I'm very thankful for that.
Masseny, I can only imagine how much COVID-19 has affected the team off the court. But during practice, when you get onto the court, has it been any different this year than previous years?
I'll say at first it was a little different, because we was trying to practice social distancing and all of that. But and then, coming closer to the games, we'd have to do like contact stuff. But as soon as we got to, contact, it felt the same. Nothing really changed. But in the beginning, it was like, oh, this is awkward. We can't touch each other.
From a strength and conditioning standpoint, where are you compared to where you normally are going into a season, and how do you think the rest of the team is prepared for the opener?
We lift pretty much, so we have a lot of strength and conditioning with our trainer. But I think we're all pretty prepared. We get in there about 3 times a week, so I think we're already on that aspect.
How do you complement Brittany Smith and you two playing together? Coach Abe has talked about the scoring is going to come from inside, and you two in particular. Just describe how you two complement each other.
So, we've been working with each other a lot, learning how to pass to each other in high-low situations. So I think that's really going to be great. Brittany's a great scorer on low block. And since I'm expanding my game now, they're either going to have to guard me or they're going to have to guard her. So just having us two working in there will be great.
So the team last season, the team was 5-6 in away games and 1-3 in neutral games. Now, while you guys had a stellar performance in Edition Arena, with these figures, what's something that the team is doing to try to improve their record when they have to travel elsewhere?
That's something that we work on every year. Just getting comfortable. It's hard to get comfortable in other people's gyms. You don't really shoot there as much as you do when you're at home, but we'll get better with it as time goes on. We'll practice there, we'll get some shots up for shoot around, and we'll just perform when the day comes.
So how have the young players been playing? Have they impressed you on the court?
Yes, many of them have impressed us. We didn't know what to expect because we haven't really seen them play because of COVID. So, we came back pretty late and we were like, oh, we don't know, but coming out, they're looking real good. So can't wait for you guys to see them.
You've got Virginia coming in here tomorrow night. Everyone's kind of going blind. No one's played yet, but what are your expectations of Virginia?
I expect it to be a good game. They're in the ACC. They're a good school. So we're a good school as well, but I expect it to be a really, close game, tough. Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Steve, we'll start with you with Coach.
Coach, how are you?
Hey, Steve, I'm good.
Good, good. The season is almost here, believe it or not. Do you wish you had more time to prepare for it, or do you feel good about where your team is right now?
I think all of the above. I think every coach would always want more time, and it's not more time, but more games, and we didn't get to have our 2 scrimmages we normally have, like real live scrimmages against another college team that, closed door. I think that we find out a lot of good things in those scrimmages. But now it's November. It's late, super late. I feel like we haven't played any games. So we're super excited to finally be playing a different opponent besides ourselves.
Coach, from a strength and conditioning perspective, where do you think your team is going into the opening game?
Pretty good. I think we train a lot differently than other teams do. And we've been from day one, since we've been back since August. I mean, we've been training 4 times a week in the weight room, because I'm a big believer in strength and conditioning and injury prevention. That's really big for me. And, obviously because we press, we're training differently, than most teams every single day in terms of the press. But I always just look at it as, we are all in this bubble that we're in. We're all training and haven't been able to train the same way and do the same thing. So, we just got to kind of take it how it is. But, I think we're in pretty decent shape. I think the first games are always, the jitters and everything. And I think basketball shape, I think more games in, you get in better basketball shape. So I think we're probably 80%, where we need to be.
How you doing, Coach?
Good.
So we know from the press release from when she was signed that Alicia Lewis has to sit out per NCAA transfer rules, but I did not see such a thing when Asia Todd was signed. Is there anything you can tell us about the eligibility of Asia Todd this season, if she's going to be able to play?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's just, this NCAA waiver thing that we're all trying to get. I mean, we're all just, waiting on that. So it could come for them in next week. It could come tomorrow. It could come in 3 weeks. I think every single person in the United States is trying to get waivers for their kids. And I think the NCAA is thinking about giving a waiver for everybody. So when they do that, then we're just in a waiting game with everybody.
Coach, since you've been here every year, I feel like we always ask you about, man, how are you going to replace so-and-so in the backcourt? And then someone else steps up that, must in the public don't get to see, and we're like surprised. You look at this year, obviously with KK graduating, what do you expect from your backcourt, in particular, Diamond Battles and Sanders, and even Anna Burney, who I know got a little run last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think they know that. I mean, I think we've been training for that since KK has been gone. And they're all super talented. Obviously our strength is going to be in our post, but since day one, since we've been working, we've all been working really hard as individually as position coaches to really get their confidence up and get them to take their game shots. They're not going to be KK, and they don't have to be KK, so what Diamond is really good at, she needs to do. What Tay's really good at, she needs to do. What Anna's really good at, she needs to do. I mean, so that's kind of Rebecca Ripley's now playing. So what Rebecca needs to do is really good at, those are the things she needs to do. So it's going to be a different look for the team. But they all need to step up and, take some big shots and take shots by committing. It's not just going to be one guard doing all the work.
Coach, you mentioned the nerves a few minutes ago, and we hear players talk about that. But how about you as a coach and your coaching staff? Will there be any nerves tomorrow night?
Yeah, of course there will, because it's the first game. I think every game in the United States that these coaches coach, it's very nerve-wracking because and this COVID thing, really haven't had time to have 3 officials on the court. We haven't had game situations. We haven't been able to really simulate that. That's why those scrimmages and those exhibition games were really big, and none of us have really been able to do it. Yeah, we've had inter-squad scrimmages. Yes, we've scrimmaged against our scout teams, but it's still not different. So I think that's the nerve in the first game jitters. That's the nerves for, I think, every single coach. But I think once the first 5 minutes goes, I mean, we pretty much forget about that.
Coach, with UConn having moved on, how do you reflect back on the Huskies and how they made your team and the league better?
Yeah, obviously, they're one of the best coached and one of the best teams in the country. And so it was always good to see where we are and what kind of fight we had, and, to challenge ourselves to prepare for those games. And to be honest, they made every team better in our league in terms of having to play them, just to see where we are as a league. And so, to be honest, I'm going to miss their fan support. I mean, their fan support was great for us. Their fans seemed to really like us because we would compete really hard, and I mean, even walking after games, I would hear their fans say things. We enjoy watching you play. Your team plays really hard. And, I think they also told our players the same thing. And obviously the coaches did too, but, I think in our league, that's what we're really going to miss, that fan support. Because when they came to UCF, I mean, it was packed in here. And I would assume it was packed at all the other places too. So, they're a dynasty for women's basketball. And obviously they're going to continue to be that.
A very large percentage of 3-pointers have departed from KK Wright, Tiziani Martin, and Georgia Gale. So who have you been seeing this offseason that could step up to begin to fill the role of taking shots from beyond the arc?
Yeah, everybody just wants to shoot threes. I've never been a 3-point shooting coach. So who can make them, not take them, make them. I think Anna can make them. I think Rebecca Ripley can make them for sure. I mean, those two, but we're still not going to ever be that team. We're going to jack up a bunch of threes, and our posts are going to be our rebounders. Our posts are super good, super skilled. We got 4 coming back that have played a lot of minutes and have a lot of numbers. So, I mean, that's going to be picking and choosing when those guys, those ladies get those shots off. But who can make them and make them pretty consistently in practice right now, or Rebecca and Anna?
Coaches, we all know so much has occurred off court this year. Do you think maybe this team is more excited to play this basketball game than maybe any other team in years past?
I don't know, because I just remember like Aaliyah Gregory and Zai and Zakiya, those groups, they were so excited to play, and then last year's group with KK. I mean, I think they're just, we're younger too. We don't have, I mean, we have Moss is back and Tay as seniors and Brittany and Diamond, but then we're pretty new and young, you know what I mean? So I think it's a combination of both. They're excited, but we got a big opponent. So now it's got to be, I'm excited, but also there's big time focus, but I'm assuming you guys talked to Moss, and I'm sure Moss is super excited to play and to play against somebody else besides Brittany every day.
Coach, I feel like you and Coach Dawkins are like in direct competition with each other as far as how to top each other in scheduling. I mean, you both have tough non-conference schedule. I wanted to ask you about the non-conference schedule and how you navigated through all the climate that we're in. You're going to host Virginia, comes here. Florida Gulf Coast comes here. They're an NCAA tournament team. You go to LSU and Georgia Tech. Just talk about the non-conference schedule as well as your outlook of the league. I know you talked about without UConn and what they meant, but now they're gone. So this is a new league and a big opportunity for everybody. So you got to expect everybody to really raise their game because of that.
Yeah, the COVID situation really changed the scheduling. But to be honest, we had everybody on our schedule besides Georgia Tech. So we had Virginia already. We just moved the date. We already had Florida Gulf Coast. We had played them the year before. LSU is the American SEC Challenge, so we already had them. And then we added Georgia Tech, and obviously some schools had to drop. And now we're putting some our league games in December. So we really had those 3 already scheduled. And the purpose for that is for the RPI net, to keep our league strong. We really want to challenge ourselves. We're just jumping into a big game right away because we missed a lot of the preseason games that we had to drop before. So somebody asked me about nerves and how we're going to do. That's the unknown right now. Cause nobody in the country's had a lot of opportunity to play games before this. So, I think a big difference is going to be, we're going to play, 3 or 4, I can't remember, 3 or 4 conference games in December. Cause we've gone to 20 games in the league. So that's going to be a little different for us too.
Coach, this is a program with a culture of success now. Is it harder to build that culture or harder to sustain that culture?
Sustain. I think it's to sustain in terms of, bringing kids in and sustain, meaning the other coaches aren't going to be surprised by what we do and how we play, so it's harder to play with the target on your back, I think. That's why I have so much applaud for UConn, because they have a target on their back every single day the moment they step on the court, so it's harder to play that way because the freshmen don't understand why there's a target on our back. They come in and they're high school, the newcomers are the great players, and then they understand why a team is playing against us and they want to beat us so bad. They just don't understand. Well, because we have the target on our back, and so we're going to have to really come in ready to go and prepared and tougher and together and, do all the little things to, keep it alive. So I always, even when I was at Albany and Missouri State, it was really harder because everybody's gunning for you. You know what I mean? So it's harder to sustain it for sure.